Mark Steele, your real estate broker, and I'm sitting here today online with Mark Verzyl, a RE/MAX agent based out of Calgary, Ontario. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course, no problem at all. So for everyone who is not aware, I brought Mark on today because he's extremely experienced in the Calgary real estate market. Been working there for, I believe, 25 years or somewhere around there.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, yeah, you bet. I don't want to count because I'll have to go like off my fingers, and
No worries.
it'll
Time
make me
flies
sound
anyway.
really old.
No worries. And the main purpose for talking to Mark today is because there's a development coming up in Calgary that's going to be a great opportunity for any investor. We actually worked together on a development last year. Worked together as in I purchased one of the units he was selling. And we'll get into all those details, but first I want to hear about Mark. So please, Mark, tell us, how did you get into the business at first, into real estate?
Like real estate's always been something that I was interested in. Even in high school, I'd have a spare. Back then there was no internet. So I guess that tells you how old I am. Maybe there was an internet, I just didn't know it existed. But anyways, I used to watch the real estate channel, and a friend of mine's dad was a real estate agent. So it was something that I was always sort of drawn to. And but I never got an opportunity to really get into it until I was in my late 20s. Okay. And so now I'm over, I'm 52 now. So it's been a really, really great run. Calgary's been really, really good to us. And so like early in my career, I started as, I wanted to start as a real estate agent, but a builder talked me into coming to work for them. And so out of my loyalty for them, I stuck around for a couple of years and sold lots of houses for them. And then started to work with some larger builder, and I did about 500 or 600 homes for them over an 8-year period. And then I got together with Mattamy Homes. I'm sure you know that name in the GTA. Yep. So I was their first guy here in Calgary. Super successful. We knocked out about 1,700 homes in a pretty short period, 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And really, really great success in a couple of brand new areas that I had helped them open up. So that was super experience. And then most recently, of course, working with brokers and with Minto, and of course, the Minto name as well. And then bringing the sort of those investor packages that we had put together at Minto to do Era, which you were involved with, of course. And then most recently, we also did East Hills, which was a little bit of a smaller one. And so there's only a few people involved, but again, both were super, super successful, and both selling out with just in a few weeks. And the last one was probably within 5 or 6 days. It was pretty much spoken for. So
that's crazy. So tell us about the Calgary market. What makes it so hot to invest in right now?
Well, it's attractive, and anyone can invest, and they feel good about it, investing when things are going this way. And it's a little bit tougher to make that call when you've watched an economy decline, so Calgary went through. So 2014, we saw the oil bust start to decline right at the end of 2014, and then in 2015, it was still not a bad year. 2016, 17, 18 were tough years. Like it really kind of bottomed out in 2018, and then we saw that climb start again in 2019. Now, when I say the climb start, it takes a little while for real estate to bounce back when after it's gone through a decline for a couple of years, and tough economic times in that. In the 1980s, Calgary, there was the oil bust, and Calgary, basically the real estate declined overnight like 30%. And this time we didn't see that. And it's because the economy here is more diversified. So it was almost 50%, oil and gas was almost 50% of the economy in the 1980s, where today it's only 27%. So it's more of a diversified economy, and real estate remained quite buoyant over the last few years. But in 2018, which is really where I saw the bottom and felt it, everybody just sort of gave up that year. And there was the new stress test. They canceled the pipeline. There was just way too much bad news, and everybody just said, whoa, I'm stopping. I'm just not doing anything. And then 2019, we saw that climb start in the numbers in terms of sales. And by the end of 2019, we were, which was last year, of course, we were really starting to bust loose. January, February, March of this year, boom, it just took off, and it was absolutely the busiest time I'd seen, busiest start I'd seen in probably 5 or 6 years. So.
Wow. Okay. So there's plenty of opportunity for growth in the coming years as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, we were talking about like the economy diversifying. So oil and gas isn't dead. It's still going to always be a part of the economy here, but
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of people that believe that it's going to be like it was in 2008 and 2009. At $140 a barrel anytime soon again, or $100 a barrel even. And right. Thankfully, our provincial government, and by the way, like backing up, there was also some other things that happened sort of around the time of the oil bust, and our government had changed hands. I'm not going to get political, but it changed hands. They raised the corporate taxes, they raised quite a few taxes, like the minimum wage and that, which on the surface sounds like a great idea, but when you're going into a little bit of a recession, it only compounds things. And so when we changed hands again last year, the government rolled our corporate taxes back to 8%, and which is a really, really important factor because it just gives us an advantage, probably the lowest corporate tax rate in North America. The idea is to attract more tech and become like the #1 tech hub in Canada. So if not in North America, that would be that would be phenomenal. But we'll take some steps, and we can see that happening already. So there's on the east side there's an area called Twin Hills. Hasn't come to market yet, but it's dubbed Cyber City, and so there's going to be at least 160 acres of commercial just for tech. So they're going to power that area like crazy, and just a little bit of residential. And then of course downtown we have lots of commercial space that's available right now. So it's super cheap. So low taxes, cheap commercial space, and brand new because it was built for the oil and gas industry, just waiting for these companies to move in. So, and we saw that decline in vacancy in commercial happening last year and this year, and a really, really good population increase in Calgary last year as well. So.
Okay, so that leads us into these developments. Again, great opportunities. We connected over Minto's Air development. I think I mentioned it was last year. It was actually earlier this year.
It was actually late last year. So that one launched in around the end of November. Yeah, you were right. And then and it went
are blending together now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it went into December. So that one again, we had put together a concrete building right in Bridgeland, so inner city, not downtown, in an area where there's not a ton of rentals, and we put together a rental guarantee on it, and then put it out to a broker group, and it absolutely went like wildfire. It went viral. My phone blew up for about a week and a half. You might have been one of those guys and texting and email, get me in on this. I want to get in on this. And sort of the beauty of those is it's a 3-year project, a 3-year build, or 3.5 years at the time, and then another 2-year rental guarantee. So that's carrying you out like 5 to 5.5 years. Super risk adverse. 10% down, which is almost unheard of in the GTA. And I mean, so you combine all those things, and everybody wants a piece of that. So
yeah, of course. So just for those who aren't aware, a rental guarantee is not something you see every day by a new developer, or for a new development, I should say, or by realtors when they're offering properties for lease. But essentially, they're guaranteeing you're going to have rent every single month for that time period they specify. And you're doing something very similar for this upcoming development as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we put together the same thing for East Hills, and that one just went out in the beginning of October. And like I said, it sold out really, really quickly. That was just a low-rise building, so 5.5 stories, nice rooftop patio, in an area of development that's just sort of up and coming, and good access to the highways and stuff. But again, suburban. So price per square foot's, a little bit less than you would get in the inner city like era.
Right.
But yeah, great project as well. And of course, it's a Minto project, so it's a good builder and a solid reputation.
Of course. So walk us through this next property or this next project coming up right now. What can people look forward to?
Sure. And I didn't really let you in on too much on what it was or who it was or whatever. We were pretty good at keeping a secret there. But
Right.
yeah, so this one's going to launch next week. And there are some units sold in the building. It's an 18-story concrete building. This one's downtown. So it's just on the outskirts of the downtown area. About 3 blocks from 17th. So 17th is a nice commercial retail, kind of hipster kind of strip where there are lots of shops and services, Starbucks, coffee shops, lounges, that kind of stuff. So just a short walk and of course, this day and age, you want to walk if you're going to have a couple of beers or a glass of wine or whatever. Right. And then in the other direction, you're only probably about 4.5 blocks to the train station. So to get you downtown. So the location's fantastic. You're going to laugh when you hear the name. So the company the builder is phenomenal. They've been around for 35, 40 years. They started as infills and then started doing multifamily projects, and really one of the first builders in Calgary doing high rise, mid-rise, high rise. And so they're a great builder. They keep probably 20 to 30 units in every building because they want to be a part of the legacy, so a part of the buildings. And so this one's studios, 1 bedroom, 1+ den, and 2 bedroom, 2 bath in the entire, and really, really well planned. Like there is no bad units in there. And cash flow. Do you need to hear anything else?
Right.
So, and then of course, when we're talking about cash flow, if you're a new investor, cash flow just means you take all your expenses. So take your condo fees, your or maintenance fees, as you like to call them in Toronto, and then your mortgage payments, and then whatever's left over after rent's paid to you is what your cash flow is. So over and above your expenses.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And do you have any indication, or can you give us any details about the pricing we can look forward to, or we can budget for?
So, and again, the project name, which I haven't given up yet. So it's Battistella's the builder, and the building is called Nude by Battistella. And this doesn't mean that you get to walk around naked in the hallways and that. So don't get any ideas about that, Mark.
Right.
But it's they call it Nude because it's going to be like polished concrete floors, and then the ceiling, rather than framing it in, and it's going to be exposed ducting and concrete. It's going to have a really, really nice look. I had a show suite not too long ago, not with Battistella, but with another builder. And in the show suite, they were showing exposed ceilings, but that actually wasn't how it was going to be built. It just happened to be the building that we were in, because this one was 3 or 4 years out. And people loved it. They were like, "Oh my God, we get exposed ceilings!" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, you don't actually." So this one actually does have exposed ceilings. So it's I think it's going to look really, really cool. Floor to ceiling windows in the living room. So when we get some shots of that for you, interior renders, you're going to love it. And beautiful skylines. So you're close to downtown, but you're just far enough away you can still see all of downtown. Just some smoking hot views. So we'll give you the website, and you'll be able to go to the website. You can check out the views. You can kind of swing around the building. It's really neat how they did it. It's a really cool feature. So
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely share that.
So you asked me about price point, and I didn't answer that one. So price point, you're going to be starting in the low to mid 2s. So about 240s. Don't quote me on that exact number. It might be just a little bit less or just a little bit more. And up to about 520. So 520 being on the top floor, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, with a rental guarantee, smoking a hot view of the downtown. And I mean, even the other side of the building, like 8th floor and up, like the views are phenomenal. Really expansive views of, the remaining, the inner city and, all the way to the west, maybe a little bit of the mountains and that. So
Not bad. So we're saying about mid twos for the lower end or
yeah.
the smaller units, and then up to mid fives for the bigger, higher floor units.
Right. So the the mid twos, we're going to be studios. Studios don't come with parking.
Okay.
Unless you get up to the top 2 floors, then you'll be able to purchase parking if you'd like on those two, like on the 17th and 18th floor. And then in terms of 1-bedroom, one plus den, and 2 bedrooms, those are all going to have parking, underground parking, and this is unheard of, okay, in the inner city, included in the price.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Underground parking is going to be included in the price. Okay.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
All right. And then in terms of the deposit structure, is it similar to Era as well, with a very low deposit structure compared to what we've seen here?
Yeah, 100%. So the deposit structure is going to be, so it's technically 10%.
Okay.
However, we have some programs in Alberta where you can put 5% down, and then you can get an approval on a bond, and you pay a few $100s for that. So let's just say $500, $400, and it's going to be different with every unit for whatever the price point is.
Right.
And so if you pay for that and they approve you on the bond, and it's not the same type of approval that you would have to do with the bank, then you're good to go on 5% down.
That's amazing. And it was very similar, again, for those who weren't aware of the Era project, they did a similar bond program with a company called Travelers. So you could put down 5%, and the remainder would be paid closer to the closing time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then you just put down your 15% at closing, and you're good to go.
Right.
So kind of the beauty again is the investors love it because it's 3 years out or close to 3 years out. And with your 5% down, as one of the brokers said, shake the change out of your couch and buy a condo.
Right.
So
no, this has a guaranteed rental program, which is one of the things I always go back to, because some people worry, especially nowadays, what if I can't find a tenant for my unit? Would you recommend any specific units in terms of number of bedrooms that investors should get into? Or
wow, that's a loaded question. And it's loaded because everybody has a different taste. There's not an earthquake here. I can see my camera's moving, but my table moves like crazy. But it's kind of a loaded question because everybody has sort of a different idea of where they want to be. So if I said, hey, 2 bedrooms are where it's at, then someone else is gonna be like, oh, but I can't afford a 2-bedroom. I can only afford a 1-bedroom. You can't really go wrong. I mean, it's on a studio. Do you need to have a parking stall? Not necessarily. So, because you're 3 blocks to 17th, you're 4 blocks the other way to the train station. So it's really easy to get around, the inner city. And this building's kind of in the southwest part of Beltline. So if you look in the communities of Calgary, it's Beltline's a community that extends all along the south part of South District of downtown. And so it's actually on sort of the southwest side of Beltline, if you happen to look that up.
Okay.
And so it's going to be what is affordable, and I don't think there's a wrong decision in it. Some people just like to buy lower floors, price point, and other people like to go for the massive price increase, later when things improve and the numbers start going upwards at a quick pace, and maybe they want a penthouse or a wicked view on one of the corners. So the corner units are the 2 bedrooms. Okay. And so they have just smoking hot views, big windows, lots of glass. You absolutely can't go wrong with those. 1-bedrooms are like 1 bedroom, and a den, and studios. It's all going to come down to price point and sort of what's affordable for that particular buyer.
Okay, so to sum it up, there's a unit for everybody. There's a bond program, so you only really need 5% down at the start. Hopefully this is going to be launching next week or the week after. We'll get all the details to you once Mark sends them to me. And
I think we're looking at a launch on the 19th.
On the 19th.
So
okay.
yeah, pencil that in. We're going to send you out some information later today, and then you can start to put that, the renderings up and the marketing it right away before the actual launch. So
okay, that's perfect. So we'll connect on that with pictures, videos, website, all that stuff.
Yep, 100%.
Mark, you've been amazing. Last question: what are you doing to have fun right now during this quarantine season?
Fun to me is working. I love doing what I do, and I'm very, very passionate about it. When I do take time off, it's usually, a couple weeks or 3 weeks at Christmas and in December, and then I kind of lay low and catch up on my sleep and that kind of thing. Usually in January, February, I like to take a hot vacation. Last year I went to Cuba. For 2 weeks. It was fabulous. Loved it. Not sure if I'm going to do that this year or not, but we'll see. I might just go back to the coast and visit my folks and hang out with them for a little while. My brother. Yeah.
Of course.
How about you?
Back in Cuba. I'm the same. We love to travel. We love to get around. It's a lot of movies right now as well. So keeping
a lot of which?
A lot of movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I bet. Netflix marathons. Hey, one more thing I wanted to add, just about the Calgary market. And this is sort of what's happening. Like the news is always 6 months behind of sort of what's really happening when you got feet on the ground. And so one of our marketing companies gave us some information that I want to share with you. And so first thing is the rental market in Calgary is very buoyant. It's really, really good. New buildings are popping up downtown all the time, and they can't seem to satisfy the rental market. And so what's happening is, for 20 years, there was no rentals built in Calgary. For 20 straight years. And so we now have the lowest number of purpose-built rentals in North America. So that's sort of why that's happening. And the latest buildings that were coming out, we're seeing like in excess of like $3 a square foot for one bedrooms. And which is really good. So you saw prices come down a little bit in Calgary, and rentals came down a little bit, but not like where Toronto prices went like this, and rentals moved up very slowly. And so that's why we're getting this really heavy cash flow on stuff that you buy. And with the rental guarantee, like at least if you had any misgivings about buying, then I mean, you're 6 years out now. So that's carrying you 6 years. We didn't, so this one's a 3-year build and a 3-year rental guarantee.
Even more time, okay.
Yeah, 3-year rental guarantee. So not sure why they went 3 years, but I didn't argue with them. I just said, hey, that's great, like perfect. And so the other couple of things that need to be noted is the Alberta's economy is going to lead Canada over the next 4 to 5 years, is what they're saying. Okay. And so the growth is going to lead Canada, and population growth in excess of 2% per year over the next 4 to 5 years. So that's, and I don't believe that they were accounting for COVID in that. So we're seeing, I've spoken to a couple mortgage brokers lately. We're seeing a lot of people, and I've taken calls from Ontario, and I said, oh, you're interested in the investment at, X project. And they're like, no, we're moving. And I was like, oh, and that we've had quite a few of those. So I started talking to mortgage brokers and it's pretty clear across the board. We have people moving from, there's migration, but we don't have the stats yet. And so a couple of the mortgage brokers I talked to said they've done more mortgages for Torontonians in the last 2 months than they've seen in years.
Wow.
And so I was talking to an investor recently, and he said, "Oh, my uncle just moved there." And I said, "Oh, is he retired?" He said, "No, he's the same age as me." And I said, "Okay." But he moved out there, and I said, "Well, is he working remotely?" And he said, "Yeah." So now they can afford a place. So they're going to spend a year or two, renting, which is exactly what happens. Like when we get migration, lots of rent, and then people buy later on once they learn the geography and where they want to live, and access to retail and their just generally their lifestyle and that kind of thing. So
Interesting. Yeah, we were another video recently. We're talking about people leaving Toronto and going outside of Toronto,
right.
still within Ontario. And now, like you mentioned, it's another opportunity just to leave Ontario altogether and find even more affordable living. And
Sure. Yeah. In Calgary, I mean, it's a safe city. I remember when I moved here from the GTA, and I grew up on the coast, but I lived in Ontario as well for a long time. Right. And we were walking around one night at, coming back from the bar or whatever we were doing. And somebody said, yeah, this is the worst area of Calgary to be walking around. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, really? Wow. So it's a very safe city. You're super close, hour and a half to get to Banff. So if you like skiing and, mountain biking or hiking and stuff, it's easy to get out of the city and come back at the end of the day, sit on your deck and have a beer or a glass of wine or whatever. So it's a great lifestyle.
That sounds amazing. Mark, I appreciate it. If you have anything else to add, we'll definitely connect again on another video.
Yep, you betcha.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to see you, Mark. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking to you very soon.
We definitely will. You'll hear from me next week for sure.
Okay, perfect.
All right, take care.
Take care.